Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Today, let's talk about the new Apple AirTag. MACMOST is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 900 supporters. Go to MACMOST.com/Patreon. There you can read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So the newest product by Apple is this little AirTag. It's basically a Bluetooth tracker. You can use it to track things that you own, like your keys, a backpack, or a purse. They cost $30 for one, or you can get a pack of 4 for $100. I bought the pack of 4, and you can see here it comes in standard Apple packaging. And once you open it up, you can take the plastic out that then connects the battery and activates the AirTag. Then setting it up is really easy. If your iPhone is nearby, it's just going to be automatic. Screen will come up. You can give it a name, and now this AirTag is registered to your phone and your Apple ID. Now to use it, you need iOS 14.5 on your iPhone. You can also track it using your Mac, and you'll need macOS 11.3. This basically just gives you an extra section in the Find My app for items, and that's where you'll find the AirTags that you have registered to your Apple ID. Now there's an extra function that requires the iPhone 11 or 12. That's called precision finding, and we'll look at that in a minute. But other functions will work just fine if you have an older iPhone as long as you're running 14.5. Now the idea here is that you put one of these in your backpack or your purse or your luggage, or you attach it to a little case that's kind of a keychain and attach that to your keys or the outside of a backpack or any other object. And then you can track that item. There are 3 different ways to track it. One is using the same Find My map functionality that we've had for a long time now to be able to track iPhones and other devices, being able to track people that have shared their location with you. So you're probably familiar with this interface. It just brings up a map and shows you where the item is located. So the AirTag appears just in the same way that an iPhone or a Mac or something would appear. The other thing you could do is when you're nearby, you can have this play a sound. It has the ability to chirp. So if you've lost this item and you know it's nearby, you can use your iPhone to have it start to chirp, and then you can locate it by listening for it. Now if you have an iPhone 11 or 12, there's something called precision finding. This brings up a map and shows you with an arrow and a distance exactly where the item is. So in this case, the AirTag has a direct connection to your phone, and you're basically just walking around until you're right on top of it. So you can see it's pretty easy to find what it is you've lost. This will help you find your keys if you've dropped them between the cushions in the sofa and things like that. So how does this work? Well, in the most direct way, it's communicating with your iPhone. So it can tell that it's nearby and it can tell its location. But if it's not within the range of your iPhone, it works by talking to other people's iPhones. So basically, each one of these has an ID number, and the ID number changes on a regular basis, which is important for privacy. But even when it changes, it's still unique to this device. So it sends a signal out. Somebody walking by with another iPhone will pick up the signal, and that iPhone will then send that information to Apple. It'll send the location and the ID that this is sending out, but it won't identify itself. So it's like an anonymous report. Apple doesn't know what device reported this. It just knows the location and the ID of the device. Then you can go and look in the Find My app, and Apple will match the ID of this with the ID that your Apple account knows, and then be able to tell you, oh, this was spotted at this location just 3 minutes ago or whatever. So you get a location on a map. Now this is the way that Bluetooth trackers have always worked, except that in the past people have to have the app on their device for it to work. So if you lose your backpack and it's got one of these and it's in the park somewhere, you have to get lucky and have somebody that's using the same tracking app that you are walk by it. But AirTag doesn't need that. It just needs an iPhone. Any iPhone. So you don't have to have the app installed. You don't have to be using AirTags. It simply will use the whole network of 1 billion iPhones across the planet to locate lost items. So it's important to realize there's no GPS in this, and there is no way for this to communicate with Wi-Fi or with a cellular phone network. So it's relying completely on this little Bluetooth signal it's sending out. And only the other iPhones have a location. This thing doesn't know where it is. It's just basically crying out its ID number all the time. There's also a lost mode. So you can go into the Find My app, and then if you've lost the object that the AirTag is attached to or inside of, you can then put it into lost mode, and then you'll get a notification the next time it's spotted by another iPhone. Now this also works with NFC, Near Field Communications, just the way those little tags that I've talked about in the past do. So if somebody sees one of these and they put their iPhone or Android phone up against it, it will send out a little signal and give a message. Now on an iPhone, normally that would allow them to contact you, the owner of it, and say, hey, I found this device. But if you put it into lost mode, you can actually provide a message, and then even somebody with an Android phone would get that message, and you can provide information to help get the item back to you. Now Apple has thought a lot about how these could be abused and used for stalking people. For instance, somebody could slip one of these into somebody else's backpack or purse or other item and then track where they go. So there are a few features built in to prevent that. One is that if this is no longer with the owner, but it's traveling with somebody else who has an iPhone, that iPhone will alert them after a period of time that an item is following them around, an item that's no longer with its owner. So if it's still with you, if it's with you on a train or a plane or in a car, it's not going to do that. But if it's no longer with you, but it's with somebody else and their iPhone identifies the item as always being with them, they'll get an alert. Now even if they don't have an iPhone, after 3 days this will start to emit a sound and they could find it and see that there's this thing, they don't know what it is, and it's been with them this whole time. And as further prevention, there's a way to identify who this belongs to. So if somebody were to slip this into somebody's backpack, track them for 3 days, then they get the beep, they can then take this to authorities and the person who owns it can then get in trouble for tracking that other person. So it's not a good option for a stalker to use to track somebody. Now another thing people may want to use this for is as an anti-theft device. Putting it on something like, say, a bike, so if it's stolen they could track it. But the thing is, as soon as it's traveling with somebody else or somebody else discovers it, they could disable the tracking. So you think, well, then a thief could just disable it. What good is it? Well, that doesn't really matter. If a thief can find this on whatever it is they've stolen, they don't need to disable it. They could just toss it or take the battery out or something. So it's really not good as an anti-theft device, although properly hidden on something like a bike, it could help. For instance, if a thief steals a bike and takes it back to their home and then discovers that it's tracking them, they disable it, but you've already figured out where the bike went. So it's probably better than nothing as an anti-theft device, but far from perfect. Remember, there's no GPS in this and there's no way for this to send a signal all by itself. So out in the middle of nowhere, if there's no other iPhone around, it's not going to really do anything. Also, people may want to use this to put on their dogs or cats so if they get lost they can track them. And Apple advises against this for those same reasons. If a dog runs away in the woods, there's really going to be no way to figure out where the AirTag is located. However, in a city situation, it could actually be used as a better than zero chance of finding a dog or a cat. So if it's the difference between not having any kind of tracking on them or having this, people may still opt to have this on them. Now here's some other things you should know. If you give this to somebody to track them with their permission, it can sort of work. They'll get an alert on their iPhone saying something's tracking them, but they can pause that alert for a day. But if they're a family member, part of your Apple ID family plan, then they could pause it indefinitely. So you could have a shared item, say a laptop bag that's used by 2 people. The other person will get the alert and say, okay, don't alert me about this anymore. So now 2 people on the same family plan could actually carry the AirTag with them. Only one could track it, but the other person won't be bothered by alerts saying that this is with them. And the same thing could be used for kids, right? You could put it in your kid's backpack or have them carry it in their pocket. And if they don't have an iPhone, of course, they won't know about it. And chances are they won't be away from you for more than 3 days. So it will be fine. It's just that it may not be reliable as a way to track them if there aren't other people with iPhones around. It's no substitute for an actual GPS tracker, but some people may still use it because it's better than nothing. Another thing you should know about this is there's a battery inside, and it's a standard and inexpensive battery. It's the CR2032 battery, which you can get just about anywhere they sell batteries. And changing it's really easy. The bottom just twists off, and when it does, it reveals the battery. You can see the battery here, and it should last about a year. Easy to replace. You can get these things in like large packs for less than $1 a piece. Also, if you're trying to decide whether to put this inside your backpack or strap it to the outside using some sort of keychain case, you want to strap it to the outside. Why? Well, because somebody who finds your backpack can see it on the outside and use their iPhone, put it up against it, and then be able to get the item back to you. If it's inside the backpack, probably no one will realize that it has an AirTag on it. So having it on the outside has its advantages. Now as an experiment, I went for a walk leaving my phone in the car, recording the screen, and just having the AirTag on me. And as I walked around the park, I could see in the recording later that it was indeed picked up by various people with iPhones that were also in the park. So I've already tested this and it actually works out pretty well. Now Apple can make adjustments to how the whole system works. For instance, the 3 days thing for making a sound, that's not set in stone. There's a lot of different intricacies about it. Like for instance, what if you leave a bunch of these at home while you're traveling? After 3 days they won't be with you. Will they start beeping? It turns out no, because they have to move for that to happen. So a stationary AirTag won't actually start beeping after 3 days. It's only a moving AirTag that will. The whole process is very intricate. There's a lot of different aspects to how these work. And all of us, including Apple, will be learning more over the coming weeks and months as people use them and abuse them, and adjustments can be made. So only time will tell how useful these devices are or what other problems may come up. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.